хочу поделиться все больше новинками и новинками. Можно мне, пожалуйста? Да, спасибо. Сегодня постараюсь что-нибудь новенькое, интересное рассказать. Например, в прошлый раз я рассказывала про то, как на Upwork обновились правила по публичным приватным аккаунтам, и сегодня расскажу, что же из этого вышло. Также расскажу вам про новинку создавания контракта вместо клиента, а также про особенности продаж в США. Кто не знает, я sales manager в компании Grey, также выполняю роль product менеджера. И на Upwork я уже 3 года, поэтому я собаку съела уже на нем, или для любителей идиом, да. А также я общаюсь с саппортом постоянно, я там каждый день видюсь и так далее, обучаю сейлов других. Ну, в общем, давайте начнем. Итак, недавно Upwork анонсировал изменения. Всем пришли письма, да, в мае месяце о том, что ваши аккаунты станут приватными, да, если у вас нет активных контрактов. То есть, всем приходило, да? Ну вот, да. А тем, у кого были активные аккаунты, у кого были earnings, им сказали, у вас теперь не будет конкуренции. Так они и сказали. Нет больше конкуренции. Вот, все будет классно. Итак, что же из этого вышло? Теперь у нас тут в уголке, да, это я, Антон, как всегда, у нас тут в уголке есть аккаунт visibility, профайл visibility. И ты открываешь и вот смотришь, да, вот у меня сейчас стоит Upwork Users Only. Если вдруг ваш аккаунт по каким-то причинам не зарабатывает в данный момент, то, как оказалось, суть не в том, чтобы делать контракты, earnings и меньше конкуренции и так далее, а в том, что хотите публичный профайл, заплатите $10. Теперь каждый, кто не зарабатывает, но все равно хочет получать инвайты, или у кого по каким-то причинам, например, на мне 12 профайлов, да? То есть я определенные профиля загружаю контрактами, а какие-то, возможно, месяц простаивают. Или, возможно, какой-то профиль финансовый, и я не хочу, чтобы на нем трекалось, да, чтобы давать разработчику данные аккаунта, да, credentials. Поэтому что я делаю? Я его просто храню, но я хочу на него получать инвайты. Все равно, ну классный же аккаунт, раскрученный. Плачу $10, и он становится у нас уже раскрученным. Еще можно, конечно же, выступить на Upwork конференции, получить membership плюс промокод, и тоже сработает. Так. Дальше. Ну, в принципе, особо не уменьшилась конкуренция, все знают. И еще недавно вот мы разговаривали с одним фрилансером, он говорит, я получил письмо о том, что в следующий раз, когда я залогинюсь, мой профайл станет публичным. То есть там прям так и было и написано when I will log on Upwork, да? Но на самом деле это имеется в виду, когда вы начнете логировать время, то есть когда у вас начнутся earnings опять. Поэтому это не работает. Дальше. Следующий анонс был такой. Ваши клиенты, есть такая биржа, называется Fiverr. Кто знает биржу Fiverr? Окей.
$5 все можно.
5, там не совсем так, там у них есть своя валюта типа гэги, которая там стоит по-разному, ну не важно. Суть не в этом, а в том, что они скопировали, в принципе, эту фишку оттуда, и стало теперь как? Если у вашего клиента нет времени, или он не понимает, как создать оффер, вы можете помочь ему и сами создать оффер. Если у вас есть уже переписка с ним, или если у вас есть предыдущие или активные контракты. Как это происходит? У вас есть троеточие, я надеюсь, я заскринила, нет, не заскринила. Значит, у вас есть в ваших контрактах троеточие, или у вас в месседжах есть, где вы нажимаете и создаете контракт. Из минусов это не работает хорошо. Почему? Потому что все мои клиенты теперь жалуются мне на поток людей из Индии, фрилансеров из Индии, которых они нанимали там для ресерча, или для какого-то там копирайта, ну, для каких-то мелких работ, которые теперь заваливают их контрактами, да. Несмотря на то, что можно только один контракт предложить, но они могут его отклонить, опять создать, отклонить, опять создать, и все время их теперь они засылают офферами. Это выглядит вот так, например, клиент, вы просто выбираете, какого фрилансера, я как agency owner, да, могу выбрать какого фрилансера, написать все вместо клиента, поставить, например, тут, или на fixed price, by milestone или by project, это уже давняя фишка, то есть вы можете разбивать на milestone тоже сами. Ну такое, не слышала, кстати, чтобы кто-то пользовался вот именно на моменте создания контракта. Такая штука, которая не очень действует и раздражает всех сейчас на Upwork, и не слышала еще, чтобы кому-то подтверждали уже оффер, который вы создали сами. Нет? Ну вот. Ну, оффер вот такой, да. Кто-то создавал его уже? Нет? Ну, в общем, создавать можно. Находится он в не user-friendly троеточии, которое сложно найти. Вчера как раз тоже, кстати, одному фрилансеру, проект-менеджеру показывала, точнее, он говорит, нет, я сам найду, постараюсь, искал, не нашел, ну ладно, покажи где, ну, показала, вообще ужасно сложно это все найти. Также решила сюда зачеркнуть из новости Upwork'овой. У них появилось такое везде, они выкладывали на своем профиле в Фейсбуке и, по-моему, в Инстаграмчике даже были типа топ-20 самых нужных на данный момент скиллов, которые нужны на Upwork. Ну, просто решила вам дать, потому что все спрашивают, а что сейчас нужно, что сейчас требуется, на что мало конкуренции, и вот они опубликовали, и вот, чтобы меньше спрашивали, в принципе, я просто сделала этот скрин, просто так. Вот. Постою 2 секундочки. Вот. Меня спросили, можно ли рассказать что-то про особенности продаж, потому что я же все-таки продавщица, как-никак. Вот. И вот я спросила про особенности продаж в каких странах, попросили рассказать, ну, хотите, чтобы рассказать. Спросила тут нескольких своих там ребят, продажников и так далее, там CEO, и они говорят, ну, США, мне особенно нравится, США самое интересное, потому что у них больше всего денег. Вот. Поэтому я решила сделать так. Промотайте, пожалуйста. Ага, вот. За последний месяц, на момент 22 августа, когда я готовила эту презентацию, вот общее число работ за месяц было 128 271 работа, из них США опубликовала 57 тысяч, ну считайте, половина почти, да, и из тех, которые меня спросили, я все сделала, то есть это United Kingdom 9900, Канада 7000, Россия 808, Украина 892, ура, мы нанимаем больше, Германия 2300, Норвегия 356, недавно была в Норвегии на холодных продажах, как раз тренировалась, есть же такая штука, как холодные продажи через Upwork, кто еще не знает, вот, ну вот, тренировалась, было очень плохо, как раз потому, что очень мало работ они публикуют. Австралия, Индия, Япония, у японцев есть своя биржа, к сожалению, туда попасть тяжелее, и надо знать японский. Израиль. У Израиля есть, кстати, очень раскрученная биржа для сисадминов, кто не знает. Ну, как бы на Upwork для сисадминов не так много работы публикуют, а вот и в Израиле там миллион. Арабские Эмираты, Швейцария. Все, что просили. Ну, в общем, выбрала я США, потому что все просили рассказать про США. Когда я начала гуглить что-нибудь про США, было вот так. Ну, типа, первая картинка была такая. Написала «типичный американец». Следующая картинка была такая. Ну, а потом следующая, я захожу такая в офис, и там разговаривают 2 проект-менеджерши о... забыла, как его зовут, певец.
It's 50 cents.
Да, 50 цент, а это Mayweather, это уже, я прихожу, и два сейла наши парни рассказывают про одного чувака, который борется, и, короче, про деньги говорит. Ну, я решила тоже их сюда впихнуть. Ну, это, в принципе, то, что выдает наш Google, да, как представляет мы себе типичного американца. В принципе, вот. Поэтому я решила, что было бы классно рассказать именно об особенностях продаж в США. И такой момент, что у меня есть свое субъективное мнение. Я работаю очень много с заказчиками из США, но я решила сделать такой ход конем и пригласить сюда американца, чтобы он ответил на вопросы, которые мне все задавали и которые нас интересуют, в принципе, всех. Ну и как бы это обсудить потом с вами. Поэтому приглашаю Спенсера. Ты будешь у нас сегодня на интервью. Оставь сюда. Садись. Расскажу про Спенсера. Сначала со Спенсером я познакомилась, когда он пришел в нашу IT-компанию. Спенсер в США занимался холодными продажами и может тоже много чего рассказать. Причем, видите, он все время улыбается, он типичный американец, можно сказать. И он у нас звезда в городе, потому что, ну, он американец.
Я известный, есть.
Да. So, can you imagine that you are on Ellen's show? Okay.
That's how I feel right now.
Okay, cool.
Like you're Ellen and I'm someone else.
I should hide my hair or something. Okay, could you tell me the amount of money Americans can easily spend on a website or mobile app without any doubt?
Well, you all understand me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. A little bit? So you saw 50 Cent up here, right? We all have, big stacks of money and gold chains. So anything that you guys ask for, we are there, we got you, anything. No, I'm just joking. We don't actually all wear gold chains. We don't actually all have big fat stacks of money, but we do make a lot more money than people do here. So it's a lot easier for us to spend money on a project because we're going to make more money from the project, right? So I would say personally that for a small business, maybe a cafe or something, that $500 for a website is basically nothing. So if you are going to ask for some sort of payment for a website to be done, and it's something small, I would say that about $400, $500, $600 around there is really not very much money if you're going to make a website for them. Something
you mean
small.
Like on WordPress or something like that, that's a site, like a construction?
Yeah, something that it puts it together pretty easily. You don't have to do a lot of work, but they receive a website, right? A lot of these small business owners really don't know anything about making a website, how much time it takes, but they will want something good, no matter how, like a WordPress or something like that, they wouldn't really care as long as it looks good.
Okay, so it's like for small business.
Yeah.
Do you know what about bigger project or something like that?
A bigger project, I think, depends a lot on the project. It's hard to say exactly. I think most of it depends on how big the project is. But if it's a big company, something that makes a lot of money, it depends on how big the project is, I would say.
Okay, I was collecting these questions from my sales colleagues. So, what is the difference between Ukrainian and American mentalities?
This is one of the first questions that everybody asks me here. I've already lived here in Ukraine for about a year and a half, so I get this question a lot. Ukrainians are very, very honest. Ukrainians are very straightforward. Ukrainians are very direct, right? So an American, does anyone know the idiom to beat around the bush? It's an American idiom. It's okay, I'll teach you.
Can you try in Russian?
Oh, I forgot it in Russian.
What does it mean?
Около, да, около, да.
Вокруг да около.
Вокруг да около. Right? Something like that. So Americans try to, there's a problem here, and they'll try to go around it without offending people, right? But Ukrainians, все равно. They go straight through it. They say, you know, one time I had lunch with my friend, and she said, "Spencer, you look really bad today." And I was like, "Thank you. At least I know now, right?" But in the U.S., it was actually Tamara. But it's very, very straightforward, right? I was happy because then I knew I probably needed to go to the bathroom and do something so I looked better. But Ukrainians are not afraid to tell you how it is, right? Americans will say, "You look great today, Spencer," even though I look terrible, right?
We are just saying it to say sorry. Like we think that you're tired and we are sorry for you.
Yes.
Not because we are like, you're bad.
Yeah, exactly. They're not being rude, they're just being friendly. They want to help, right? So one of my favorite things is people always tell me that I have a spot on my pants. Right here, if I have a spot on my pants or like chalk or something, people will always tell me. In the US, people would say, "Oh, don't tell him, but he has a spot on his pants. Look at him." Haha.
So Gossip Girl is about this.
Yeah, who has seen Gossip Girl? Anybody? Yeah, it's the same. It's the same.
Okay.
So I would say that Ukrainians are much more straightforward and sincere. So that's the answer that I usually give, and I hope nobody is offended here.
What about Americans?
It's a good quality.
They are not sincere.
As you notice, I like to smile a lot. It doesn't necessarily mean that I'm happy, right? But I would say Americans like to put on a better image, right? Americans like to look really good. You know, maybe I'm having a terrible day, but I'll still smile, right? I'll still give you a thumbs up. "Oh, всё хорошо, I feel good." But maybe that's not actually how I'm feeling, right?
We were talking about accents, and we decided that American accent is when you're smiling, and then you are trying to talk. That's about an accent. And
Exactly.
British is brilliant.
British people speak like this. It's very strange.
Not smiling.
Yeah, more frowning, like this. "I am British. Would you like some tea?"
Okay, next question. What stereotypes do Americans have about Ukrainians?
This is another one of my favorite questions. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to be very, very honest, like a Ukrainian, very blunt. I did not know anything about Ukraine before I came here. I thought it was part of the Soviet Union.
You're a very brave man.
No, I'm just joking. I had heard lots about it. The first thing I heard about it was that there are the most beautiful women in Ukraine. So, yeah. Good job.
That's why you came?
How did you know? No.
It's another
So
story.
men, you are all very lucky. Good job. The second thing I heard is that the temperature here is about the same as in Antarctica. You know, it's freezing cold all the time. Everybody wears a shapka. Everyone wears a huge jacket, right?
And bears are very fun.
And there's bears, yes. Polar bears, penguins. It's very cold all the time. Reindeers. Santa might even live here somewhere. So,
Okay.
yeah, I thought it would be very cold. When I heard that I would be coming here, the first thing I looked up was the temperature. And I heard that it gets up to, in Fahrenheit, 100 degrees, or like 37 degrees Celsius. And I was like, what? That's crazy. I thought I was going to Siberia. So it's the weather here is much, much different than I thought. I also heard that vodka is more popular than water. So.
And cheaper or something.
And cheaper than water, yeah. So those are basically the stereotypes that I had heard before coming here. I also heard one more thing. Sorry. I heard that everybody's super mean.
What does it mean?
Like not very. I don't know. People would be very rude to foreigners. But I got here
Because you look bad.
because we look bad. People would tell me that I look bad. No, but I came here and people are all super, super nice. Honestly, whenever I meet somebody new, they are super nice and great and friendly. So it's good.
Maybe because you're an American.
Maybe because I'm American. Maybe they just want my money.
Maybe. Do you need a website, by the way?
Maybe.
Let's talk about
Maybe we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Okay. Do you think that it's important to not talk about business first?
So, that's a good question. I think, yes, it's important. Honestly, I would say that it's important to have at least some sort of personal relationship with somebody before going into a sale, right? If I wanted to buy something from somebody, I would much more likely buy something from somebody that I know on a deeper level, right? If I know that you are a salesperson, I know that you can make websites, I know that you're from Ukraine, and that's all that I know, I will not feel any sort of personal connection, right? So if I was going to buy something, I would want to know the person, right? I would want to know a little bit deeper than the obvious, right? So maybe you have a dog that you really, really like, right? Or that has a funny name, or maybe something about your family, something to make you a real person instead of just somebody on the computer, right? Because if you're a real person, then I feel a little bit more obligation to work with you. So I think it's very, very important.
Is it your subjective opinion, or do Americans think like that?
I think Americans all think like that. When I worked in sales, I talked to a lot of people, and the people that would actually show interest in my product were the people that I could strike up a normal conversation with, right? We had talked about something besides work before we got into the actual sale. So I think that all Americans are like that. And honestly, like I said earlier, Americans are a little bit fake, so don't be afraid to make yourself look a little bit better than you might be, okay? Just a small tip from Spencer.
Okay. Do you know we are the top developers in the world?
That's what I heard. Tamara told me actually that you guys are the top developers in the entire world.
Yeah, that's true.
Good work, guys. Good work.
Yeah, when you will come back to US, please tell everyone.
I'll tell everybody. Tell everybody.
Okay.
You need a website. I know the best developers in the entire world.
That's why I'm talking with you, to make deeper relations.
Deeper relationships. She's a diplomat for Ukraine.
Sales.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, so better to start from something personal, like how are you, what is the weather, blah blah.
No, not something like that though. Honestly, I would say something like more interesting, something more unique. Yes.
I have a question. What have you sold? That's first in US.
Mm-hmm. So,
what was the product?
so I worked. Can I talk? Am I allowed to talk about it? No.
Describe something about
So
who are you, what is your job,
I
what
worked
is your
I
manager,
worked in
what do you do?
energy. I worked in energy. So I worked in like natural energy. So I worked with people with solar panels and with energy. I worked basically for an energy company, and we did a lot through solar panels.
So it was the business to customer, not business to business.
Business to customer. Business to customer.
And what was like the average sum of your contract? What
It depended. So if somebody needed,
average?
yeah. And
Always when I ask American with the word average, I expect to hear the exact number, and they always say it depends or something like that.
Maybe it's something
It's like
about that
average
too.
is the number. It's always the number.
so
It's like just like
an
What's your
average
mind?
sales deal, it really depends. But a bigger deal would be $7,000 in my pocket, and a smaller deal would be $1,200. So
1,200 or 1,000.
1,200, yeah. So that wouldn't go through the company.
That was the preparation to the main question.
Mhm.
The main question is if our clients, for example, are like new startups that are always in a hurry, that want to do everything today and get the MVP in 1 week and so on and so forth. Is it applicable for them to have that personal connection, blah blah blah, you're a good guy, let's drink beer or coffee, and then we'll talk about business, but they probably will have no time for that.
Yeah, that's
It's
a
like
good, that's a good question. That's a super good question. So I wouldn't say you need to Skype them once and just talk about yourself, right? Maybe 5 or 10 minutes just to show that you are a real person, right? You don't need to fly to the US and get coffee with them and then fly back and then you can start your deal, right? I think that's a super good question. Nobody wants to waste time. Nobody wants to waste time with deals, but they do want to know that you're a real person before you start working with them, right? You don't want to be just some guy from Ukraine. You want to be Sergey, who has a really, I don't know, cool car or dog or something. You know, something unique. Not just your cool accent, but something actually about yourself that makes you a real person, right?
Would I answer? I have clients from US and they are startups, and they were telling me that their idea and their startup is their child, so they want to know about people they will work with. So,
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah. People have if someone has their own business, it's their life, right? It's everything about their life. So if you care about their business, if you show a real interest in not just the money or the website, but an actual care in their business, they'll trust you so much more than if you were just saying, you know, how much do you want for it? What do you want it to look like, right? If you said, oh, what kind of business, you know, blah, 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 trying to support them, then they'll appreciate it.
okay, cool. What do you think about rates per hour? How much are Americans ready to pay for outsourcing development?
So in the US, the smallest hour, like the minimum wage, we say minimum wage, is between $8 and $12 an hour, right? So that's as low as it goes. So we see somebody that has a real skill as like somebody that maybe has finished university, or somebody that has a actual skill and not just working at McDonald's or something, right? I would say something between $40 and $50 an hour, depending on what the work is. Like, so making a website, I would expect something like that.
Okay, so when you're going to outsource, it would be like 40, 50, or what? Or you can hire their
Or
developers
20,
for 40,
25.
50.
What? Yeah.
What rates are you expecting in Ukraine?
So in Ukraine, honestly, so something that I never expected when I came here was how little people get paid. I mean, honestly, a lot of people don't get paid very much here. And I never would have expected it when I was at home. So I think more or less people expect things to be about the same, right? People don't really know what a minimum wage would be here, right? A minimum wage here is like, what, maybe $2 an hour? Less? Yeah, so I mean, that's, if you told that to an American, they would say, what?
Half the per hour, I think.
Yeah, so I mean, it puts things into perspective.
Remember 50 cents?
50
So
cents? 50 cent.
So it's about Ukrainian salary, like 50 cents. It's all
50 cent, 50
per
cent.
hour.
Oh, now it's understandable.
Yeah, you got me.
Got it. So I would say an American really doesn't know anything about the economy here, what is normal. What they do know is how much their friend is paying for his website, right? His friend is paying $1,000 for his website from Ukraine instead of $5,000 for their website from the US, right? So they don't know how much per hour, but they know about how much it'll cost to make a website, right? So they don't, most business people that are starting a business are not going to say, I know exactly how long it will take, I know exactly how much it should cost, right? They'll say something like, my friend told me that it will take, you know, about $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, whatever, to make a website like his, right?
I would also say that according to my experience, people from United Kingdom are very greedy. They will say, not 25, $15 per hour maybe, but people from US, they will say, 25? Anyways, they will say, okay, I will call you later. And maybe they will call, maybe not, but they will say, okay, okay, that's okay.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think about offline meetings? Is it important for making deals? Because you know, Upwork is for online. Yeah. Skype, Upwork video conferences, etc.
Honestly, I wouldn't say it's super important. I'd say meeting with somebody in person, especially if they came from Ukraine. I don't know how often that happens. Has anyone had an offline meeting with somebody? Yeah?
Yeah. I've been
Yeah?
in Norway just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, you're in Norway, that's cool. So honestly, I wouldn't say it's super important, but if the person that's buying your work asks for it or is, says it's something important for him, I'd say yes. But I'd say most Americans would try to stay away from that. It's a little scary to some people to meet somebody that they don't know. Unless you guys have had like a long relationship, lots of deals, I would say that it's probably not something that's super important. So, at least in my opinion. I love meeting new people, I love talking with people, but I'd say that offline meetings can be helpful, but a Skype meeting is almost as effective, so.
Okay. Do Americans always like to be involved in projects or love to pay and receive a turnkey project? So I will explain a bit.
No,
because
yeah, it's
we
fine.
have
Fine, yeah.
the website development project. We are calling have few methodologies like agile, when we are always talk and ask you questions and you're always with us, and waterfall, which is like you're paying money and receiving exactly what you asked at the start.
Honestly, I think it depends a lot on the person. I think you could probably tell straight away what the person is going to want, right? If they say, I want it like this, and this, then maybe it would be somebody that would be better to work through with them. How is this? How is this? How do you like it now, right? Because the person, he wants it to look like what he wants. There are some people, like me, for instance, if I wanted a website, I would say, this is a good website. Give me something like that, and if there's something I don't like, I'll tell you, right? And then you'll give me something that I said, and I'll say, oh, it's cool, I like it. So I think it depends a lot on the person, but I think you should be able to tell what the person wants maybe within the first meeting. The first meeting, I think you should be able to tell whether they want a turnkey project or whether they want to be involved in every step of the project. I'd say most people would want a turnkey project where you give it to them, they open it up, and they say, cool.
I want to skip some questions to show you this. Okay, someone help me with this. Here was Andrew. Okay, see, one guy just posted it in Facebook, one speaker from all source people. So he said that it's how Americans are looking for objective distribution and Eastern Europeans. Do you think is it true?
This is literally the most true thing I've seen in a very long time. It's hilarious. Most Americans, from what I can tell, I know I am this is me, perfectly. It's very, very direct. From after meeting a lot of Ukrainians, I see that, this is pretty similar, honestly. And then Americans, cool. What?
Is it about us? Like,
Yeah.
oh, MVP, trash,
Trash, what is this?
trash.
I mean, yeah, probably. Yeah. Americans, it's like a little bit more cool. That's good. Sounds good. All right, let's go. Let's go forward. I like it. Let's do something more. I like it. Move on to the next one. Of course, not everybody is like that, right? Of course, there's going to be people like this that don't really like it or aren't really ever satisfied. But I'd say that you're going to see a lot more of this one here than you would here, or working with Europeans, just in general, all Europeans.
Okay, and how do you think, is it the difference between mentalities? Or what? Why
Yeah,
it's like that?
Honestly, I think it has a lot to do with the mentality. The American wants to look, he wants to look good all the time, right? And if you're complaining, if you're saying, oh, but what about this, what about this, what about this? Of course they want their website to be awesome, but they also, in their head, deep down somewhere in their head, they always want to be positive, right? So I'd say you're going to see a lot more people that say, cool. Even if there's something small that they don't like, that they will say, cool, I like it.
Is it just outside, but inside they will think like that?
I don't think so, honestly. I think they would expect that maybe something small would be
You
off.
want to be positive right now, too?
Maybe. Maybe. No. That's honestly that's how I would say it.
Okay. Okay, let's back. Okay. What about trust?
Trust. How to get it?
How to
Well,
get it?
this is a good question. I think being honest. I think in sales, in all kinds of sales, honesty is the very first thing that somebody looks for. If you're gonna tell them straight up, if you're gonna tell them how it is, honesty is good. If you're trying to obmanivat, right? Obmanivat. I don't. It doesn't. That word doesn't really translate. But if you're trying to trick them into doing something that they don't want to do, they'll be able to see it, or eventually they will find out. So I think honesty is going to be a critical factor, even if it's something that they won't like, right? If it's something that they aren't going to like, but you say it at the start. If you say it at the first meeting, then it's going to be something that is much more believable for them. Every sale has some sort of downside, right? Every single sale has something that they're not going to like. But if you are upfront and forward about it, then that will gain their trust for sure.
But no bugs on website, no mistakes, nothing, 0 bugs.
No bugs?
No bugs. Every
Perfect.
time. Okay, what about prepayment? Is it normal for us to require a prepayment because we're always very scared?
Yeah. If somebody asked me for a prepayment, I would say that's fine. That's fine. It's pretty normal for a prepayment. I wouldn't say it's anything crazy. If I paid a prepayment, I would want some sort of guarantee, though, of course. I would want to be confident in my person that they are going to give me what I want, right? I would say a prepayment would be pretty normal, yeah.
What amount of prepayment would be the most comfortable for?
I would say 15 to 25%.
Okay. In my company, by the way, we are usually asking for 30% of first sprint, of first 2 weeks of work. Yeah, like that.
Seems
So
about
it's-
normal.
it's
That
not
would be
all-
normal. That would be completely
It's
normal.
not about all project, like maybe like few months.
Mhm.
Yeah, but it's about 30% of 2 weeks, first 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'd say that's normal. Honestly, I don't think if you trust somebody enough to buy and to tell them that you want their product, you're gonna also trust them enough to give them a prepayment because you're gonna pay at some point anyways, right? Why not beforehand?
Okay, but is a contract required?
I would say yes, especially with a prepayment.
And if it's just an easy WordPress $500 website,
In that case, you probably wouldn't have much of a prepayment. So if it's just like bing, bang, boom, got a website, is that something that you would ever say? like snap, 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 there's a quick website for you. I wouldn't say that a contract would be required. You guys heard that before?
Называется бац-бац и в production.
почти.
Bing, bang, boom. You can use that. If you are talking with someone on Skype, say, bing, bang, boom, I got you a website. They'd be like, ooh, wow, where'd you learn that? Cool.
You should say these tips just for me.
Yeah.
Okay, next time. Okay, do you know what's NDA?
Like a non-disclosure agreement, right?
Yeah, right. So is an NDA required?
I mean, it depends on the person, right? Some people are very, very private, and if they pay a lot of money for something, they want it to be theirs, right? They want it to be only theirs. But, so I would say probably more often than not, a non-disclosure agreement would be good. But some people they don't really care at all, right? Some people are gonna say whatever. So I would say more often than not, I'd say it would be good.
I have a question for your audience. So how often are you signing NDAs with Americans, like in percentage?
100%.
100%.
30? 10?
About 60.
Okay, I'm signing like 9 out of 10 times.
Really?
Yeah, like, and they are saying, you know, it's US. We are really crazy about intellectual property. Etc.
So if I was buying a website and somebody said, I am going to do a non-disclosure agreement, I would say, cool, that's awesome. That makes me feel good. That makes me feel better. If they didn't mention anything about it, I wouldn't be offended, or I wouldn't say, oh, I wish I had a non-disclosure agreement, but the non-disclosure agreement would make me feel more comfortable. It would be like a bonus almost. Oh, cool. I'm not, this is gonna be my website. This is going to be all mine. Nobody else is gonna have the same thing that I do. It would just be like a little bit of a confidence booster where I know that you are invested in me and you're not just using this project to boost yourself, right?
That's good. Okay, what traits are important for a salesperson to have to attract a US customer? And I will explain you why I'm asking it here, because here are people, most of us are salespeople or CEOs of companies, and like we want to know this is the answer to this question.
The first thing that comes to mind is good looking. Honestly, Americans are very image related, from what I can tell. A lot less than people are here, and if somebody is good looking, be it a boy or a girl, I don't think it really matters. But if somebody looks good, I will be much more willing to trust them. I don't know what the connection is there, good looking and trustworthy, but it's almost a natural reaction for people, right? Good looking is going to be more pleasant to talk to. So I think self-image is something that's really important, something that's going to attract an American sale.
Will you hire a salesperson for your IT company? Like, could you describe this person? Like traits?
If I was going to hire a person for my IT company,
Yeah.
well, somebody that, as far as looks or as far as like what they do, like actions?
Like what?
Honestly, ideally it would be somebody that is young and motivated, right? Somebody that is young, takes care of themselves, right? Wears something that's, of course, like not shabby. Somebody that takes care of their body, somebody takes care of their look, but also is going to be working very hard, right? Somebody that's going to continue even when things are not correct or things are not perfect, right? Trying to please the customer all the time.
Okay, and is fluent English important?
Honestly, it depends on what you mean by fluent. So if it's hard to communicate, if it creates a barrier between our work, I would say yes. But there's a certain level that people get to, right? There's a certain level where, of course, your English isn't perfect and you make things, make mistakes. But I would say there's like the 70% fluent level where it doesn't really add to your sale or detract from it. As long as your communication with the person is exactly how it would be if you were speaking Russian, like if the language barrier doesn't affect your conversation, I would say it's not super important.
What about really bad, ugly Russian accent?
The Russian accent is super cool. I love it. I love the Russian accent. Yes.
In your opinion, pre-intermediate, intermediate, upper intermediate, what's the level what's the basic level that, in your opinion, needs to be?
I would say upper intermediate. Upper intermediate. So there's advanced, right? I'd say a lot of you are probably in the advanced section. Upper intermediate, if I'm calculating right, I would say upper intermediate is good. Intermediate, from what I've seen, can be taxibie, right? It just depends. Sometimes an intermediate can be fine. I think it goes back to the confidence, right? If somebody is confident in their language abilities, it's going to be pretty easy for them to communicate. I have some friends that speak awful English, but we have normal conversations, right? They make 1,000 mistakes, but the barrier doesn't make it so our conversation is any different, right? So there's some people that are very, and they're shy because their English is not good, right? Even though they speak pretty good, they don't want to speak a lot. It's a little bit harder for them to speak. But that is the problem. Even if they speak super good English, but their confidence in their language is creating a barrier, then that's the problem. But if somebody speaks awful English, but they don't really care that they speak awful English and they just go for it, then it's cool. It doesn't create any sort of barrier, then that's perfect. So of course you want to have as good of English as possible, but if you're, it's more important to be confident in your English and just go for it, right? We don't care about mistakes in grammar. We care that we're able to communicate at a normal pace.
Your money, we website.
Your money, give me your money, I will website for you. Good? Good. Хорошо.
Okay, and so I would like to ask you about something. Like I was asking you to prepare for us some sales tips, like from your experience. Yeah.
Cool.
Could you?
Cool. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll stand up.
Okay.
So
I will sit down.
you'll sit down. Yeah, you take a break. So from my experience in sales, the first thing that is the most important, I mean, it's probably the most important everywhere, but I'd say especially with Americans, is confidence. If you are confident in yourself, you're also going to be confident in the thing that you're selling, right? Confidence is something that people can see right off the bat. The first 5 minutes that you see somebody, they can tell how confident you are in yourself and in the product. And that will lead to sales, right? If you are confident, you will get sales. Honestly, it just works like that. When I am meeting a new friend here, if I'm meeting a new friend, then I can see right off the bat, oh, that's an idiom, I'm sorry. I can see very quickly that's, how confident they are. So if somebody is not confident, it's going to be there's going to be some sort of separation. And I will say there must be some reason that person is not confident, and I'll take a step back, right? So I'd say that's the number one thing, is confidence in yourself. Being able to talk to them, confidence in your language, confidence in your product, they all work together to make your product more desirable, make you more desirable. Because with sales, you're not always selling your product. Most of the time you're selling yourself first. Something which kind of leads to my Spencer's second tip of sales, which is be unique. Being unique, I think, is very, very, very important. Because these people that you're talking to, they have options, right? They have options of people to choose from. What makes you unique, right? What makes you different than the 9 other people? So maybe it's what email you send them. Maybe it's your price. Maybe it's the way that you do your creative websites, right? Something to set you apart from other people.
We call it killer feature.
Killer feature, I like that. Have a killer feature. So, but it doesn't necessarily need to be in your website. I don't know if that's a website term. It can be in your, in your face even, right? Maybe you've got a huge nose. Maybe you've got a massive nose. And you use that nose to get you sales, right? So I have a massive nose, right? And that person will always remember you as the guy with the massive nose, right? It also goes into your confidence, right? If you've got a massive nose and you say, yeah, I've got a massive nose, my name's Sergey, and I've got a massive nose, right? They're gonna remember you for the next 30 years as Sergey with the massive nose, right? So, something unique.
By the way, what about website? Is it important? Because all of us have an idiom, сапожник без сапог. So first we are building website for other people, but then the website for us. And usually people who are doing web development on very cool technologies have websites on WordPress.
So if I'm buying a website, the first thing I will look at is probably the things that they send me. First of all, I'll look at what they send me. I'll say, okay, this is cool, this is cool, this is cool. But then I will Google their website, right? I will Google the company and say, what's up with this company? Like do they have a cool website themselves? If their website is kind of lame, I don't know if you guys know the word lame,
yes.
But
Отстой.
It's honestly, lame actually means like invalid, but but we can use it as like not cool. Lame is the opposite of cool. If they have a lame website, then I'm not going to want them to make my website, right? I'll say, well, you know, they showed me their cool stuff, but maybe this is what they actually do, right? So if your website is pretty lame, I would say maybe that's something you would want to focus on so that the people that Google your website, Google your company, are going to say, they showed me cool things and they actually have cool things for themselves, right? Something I would say.
Sales tips?
Sales tips. I already said it, but honesty. I think honesty is something that in sales can get, you know, a little bit pushed down. Honesty is something that is going to build that trust between relationships. So being as honest as possible. Of course, you don't want to offend people. You do not want to offend anybody. But being honest is going to bring confidence in your work, right? If you're honest with somebody, they'll call you back the second time to make their second website, or they'll tell their buddy, right? I have this super cool Ukrainian friend with a massive nose that makes awesome websites, right? So
From this second, everyone will hire sales with
big noses. So honestly, I think honesty, trust is going to be something that wins you more sales in the long run. Maybe there's something they don't like, and you could skip over it. You could say, well, they say, can you give me a cool video on the front? And you say, and for some reason you can't give them a cool video on the front, but you say, well, I'll try to give you a cool video on the front, or I'll try to give you this, but you know that you actually cannot. It's much, much better to say, yeah, no, we actually don't do that. Our company, we do it more like this, and it's actually better in the long run, right? So being straightforward and being honest, I think, is something that will win you more sales in the long run. So, cool. Can I ask questions?
Yeah.
Any questions? Questions? Wow. Cool. Yes.
Could you tell us, please, is the average salary for salesperson in the United States?
That's a good question. Honestly, it depends a lot on the job. I know I've said that 1,000 times. It depends. But like some people receive $0 an hour, right? So some people it's 100% commission. I'd say a lot of people it's 100% commission. But if you're working on a salary, I would say you can make $100 an hour, depending on what you're selling. But I'd say that's a good salary, not the best salary, but not the lowest salary. So I'd say average.
I can say for the IT sector,
Mhm.
it's like $130,000 per year.
$130,000 a year.
It's salary and it's around like 20% commission.
20% commission.
But sometimes, like 20% it's like, or 20% commission. But if you have a salary, it's like half of person commission will be. Because developers are have a very high salary, like 100 or $150 per hour.
Yeah. So it's interesting because the developers in the US need to be very, very, very good because they're competing with you guys, right? They're competing, they need to be 3 times better than all of you to get a job in the US because it's super easy to outsource to Ukraine or to Russia or something like that, right? So these people are the best of the best. From what I can tell, they need to be very, very good in order to get a job in the US. Because who wants to pay somebody $130 an hour when you could pay somebody for the same work $30 or $40 an hour?
Okay, cool. So any question?
Is it a problem for American employers to, you have, for example, 2 choices. You can hire some group of friends, for example, who can make you a website and the video content for this website and make overall final product. And the second choice is to choose a specific like firm or specific person to make only website. Is it a difference is it hard for American employers to like hire this team of friends? Is it a problem for them?
I would say that they're going to more likely choose the group of friends. Social connections are everything. Social connections, social connections. So, maybe even that second specific person to create the website is going to do a better job, but I think they would choose the group of friends over them because social connections is everything, right? They can trust that group already. They can trust them to communicate well. They can trust them to do good work, even though maybe somebody else would do a better job, right? It's the comfortability. That person's already comfortable, so they can go up to them and ask them to make them a website straight off the bat instead of going through the awkward phase of getting to know somebody, right? Does that answer your question? Yeah, cool.
Any other questions?
Cool.
What do you do in Ukraine? You are working like a seller or what?
So I'm here as a volunteer, actually. We are doing English classes. So I talk. I think there's a guy over here. What's up? We did a speaking club today at the co-working over there. We do lots of talks, mostly English related. Yeah.
Okay, I want to just summarize some things
Yes.
and you will just take a seat. Okay, so
You have no choice.
yeah.
I'm nervous.
Okay, so I will also tell my experience about Americans, and you will just say, yeah, okay, or not. Okay. Okay, so when I was working with Americans, they told me what was good in my sales. So first they say that it's cool because we don't have time, but it's cool that you're a girl. That's cool because we don't have time, and usually girl is selling better. How do you think? Is it true?
Well, so if anybody is thinking right now, man, maybe I should change into a girl, I think that's probably a bad idea. Don't do that. It's not worth it. But I'd say yes. Honestly, I would say yes. It would be easier to work with a girl. I don't know why. I think it just would be. It's more. Yeah.
You are such a sexist.
I know. Sorry, guys.
He can do it in Ukraine, at least in Ukraine. Okay, next, it's also have been that they say, okay, NDA is must, or they were saying, okay, that's so cool that you send it to me, or also it was we are not technical people. Usually, technical guys are not hiring, so it's cool when you can explain with simple words what it's gonna be, because we don't understand anything. So it's cool when a salesperson understands some technical details. Is it true?
100%. 100% of the time. Even if I do know everything about technical stuff, I still want it explained to me simply, right? Then I will say, well, what about this, right? And then I will explain it a little bit more in depth. Right? So I think simple is better. The simpler, the better, especially if you can get all of the information out, right?
So when I've been in junior sales, and my first CEO was explaining me, he was CTO actually. So he was explaining me all these things. Like I was saying, hey, can you покажи мне этот крутой блокнот, где фреймворки? Что такое фреймворк? Покажи мне блокнот, как ты пишешь все эти цифры, буквы? И это был тупой вопрос, но он мне показал тогда, и теперь я понимаю это по-другому. И теперь мне легче. So that's important. And also it's very, sorry I cannot explain like that, it would be not simple. You can understand, of course. So, and one more thing, that usually they say, it's so cool that you invited us to Ukraine. Like usually a different meeting, like it's 10 minutes of blah blah, something not about business. That's why we're asking it. And then about business, and then, oh, if you want, you can come to Ukraine and see our real office, real people. Or I just take my laptop and go, here is our developers, look. Here, not just I'm sitting here at home as a lonely girl and trying to get your prepayment for some stuff, yeah, like a few salaries of Ukrainian lawyer. Okay, so if someone will have questions for Spencer, okay, here it is. Here's his email and phone number. You can ask, and also in a just coffee break, you can ask him questions easily. It's mine.
Previous, please. Previous slide.
Yeah, go back.
Oh, sorry. I will leave just it.
Who are these guys?
Yo, they're Ukrainians. This is Stefan Milovanov, he's from Kyiv, and this is Daniil Omen from Donetsk.
Yeah.
My homies.
Yeah, okay, so, если у кого-то есть вопросы по тому, как писать письма, по тому, как составлять офферы или по публичным приватным аккаунтам и так далее, то тоже есть вопросы какие-то? Да.
Почему Upwork продолжает блочить иногда аккаунты, при том, не один случай был, что есть контракт, по контракту идут earnings.
Так.
То есть, да, небольшие,
Так.
но в принципе деньги идут. Но
Так.
он продолжает их
Блочит аккаунт?
да?
Абсолютно.
То есть invisible делает все.
А вы пробовали его менять просто?
Вручную менял, он не дает.
Не дает поменять? А вы писали в саппорт?
Пытался первый раз, то есть они починили. Сейчас
Ага.
второй раз с ними бодаюсь, в принципе, потому что
Ну, у меня
Upwork
вот,
support
к сожалению, я не встречалась с этим, хотя у меня 12 профайлов, и
ну, у
не
меня
встречалась
4,
как-то.
то есть, в принципе,
И на всех?
на двух.
На двух такое. Я не встречалась, но сейчас есть два таких момента, по которым вот я общаюсь уже с саппортом каждый день. Первый момент — это то, что вы не можете отклонить некоторые инвайты, и вам нужно, они говорят, мы можем только вручную отменить, у них такой баг, да. И второй, забыла, что сказать. Второй это потому, что вот раньше тоже я на предыдущем рассказывала про то, что китайцы покупают аккаунты, да, вот по $100 у всех. Вот это всем приходило. А сейчас же Enterprise программа это началась. Кстати, кто прошел в Enterprise программу? Три. Мы в React прошли, а куда вы прошли?
Мы в WordPress.
Так, а вы?
Мы будем об этом разговаривать?
Мы можем, я не знаю, будем мы об этом сегодня разговаривать? Ну,
Нет?
нет, наверное, не будем.
Ну, всё, тогда поговорим
Ну,
потом.
потом тогда. Сейчас, секундочку.
Вопрос. Вот вы говорите, вы 12 аккаунтов, да, менеджите?
Да.
Получается, это под имена сотрудников, с которыми вы работаете, да? Ну, как 12 аккаунтов? 12 разных людей?
Да.
Просто как контент-менеджер, грубо говоря, за них, да?
Ну, контент-менеджер
в
сложно
смысле,
сказать.
вы заполняете их аккаунты, да, вы от них ищете работу,
Да.
продажи идет от их.
Да.
Я понял.
Только никому нельзя об этом говорить.
Никому не говорю. Я просто помогаю этим людям. Просто помогаю.
Почему не агентство?
Вопрос адекватности саппорта Upwork.
Отрицательный.
Это история.
Эту проблему понимают все. Допустим, когда пишет саппорт о том, что вот вы знаете, ваш там аккаунт по тем иным причинам вот будет заблокирован, завершите контракт. То есть контракт есть, деньги идут. Но вас все равно блокируют. Потом ты с ними начинаешь общаться, что вот вы понимаете, что может вам нужна информация предоставить. Может клиент вам должен написать о том, что вот я готов с человеком дальше работать, не блочьте. А дальше там есть такой интересный менеджер, просто мы пару раз на него попадали, говорит, вы знаете, не пишите мне больше, вы заблочите. Все, точка, и вас ставят в бан, этот аккаунт. То есть аккаунт мертвый, ты с ним ничего не сделаешь, ты не можешь даже написать в саппорт, тебя забанили. Без объяснения причины. То есть если раньше можно было там подтверждением, там, не знаю, чек на оплату коммунальных услуг или еще какой-нибудь бред, то теперь все, бан. Как быть с этим?
Можно я отвечу на эти
Да,
вопросы?
вот если можно. У нас есть представитель. Может,
По всем таким вопросам, пожалуйста, обращайтесь на Upwork Ukraine, группа в Facebook, и по мере возможности команда Upwork Ukraine решает такие вопросы. Где баны связаны с такими моментами, которые не относятся к нарушениям правил, не относятся к каким-то вашим нарушениям, то есть все эти вопросы будут стараться решаться в оперативном порядке. К сожалению, недопонимание всегда существует, иногда очень часто бывает, но команда Upwork Ukraine старается работать и решать эти вопросы.
То То есть это будет чисто консультационная помощь, либо действительно будет эффект какой-то?
Никто не знает.
Это будет эффект в любом случае, потому что все эти кейсы, они идут через наш департмент в другой департмент. То есть они не... То есть эти кейсы будут в любом случае рассматриваться. Возможно, это будет не так быстро и оперативно, как хотелось бы, потому что идет цепочка бюрократическая. Но без этого пока по-другому мы не можем решить вопросы.
И, насчет тоже, у меня не было такого именно, что блочили, да, но моя любимая история про Зарину из саппорта. Зарина, привет, если ты вдруг смотришь. Да, Зарина, которая говорит, почему у меня раскрученный профайл на React.js девелопера, а он у меня на 150-й странице вообще не высвечивается, а первый у нас дизайнер в списке выдачи, который просто I'm doing reactive design. Да? И она говорит, попробуйте поменять ключевые слова. На какое ключевое слово мне поменять React.js, чтобы по запросу React.js мне высвечивался мой профайл вверху. Просто
Пробел
уберите
после
его.
точки.
Да. У вас был вопрос, да?
Да. Вот есть возможность при виде, да, оттачить документы.
Да.
Есть ли у вас такая практика, да, то есть там, не то чтобы в 100% случаев, но в каких случаях вы при первом же виде, допустим, оттачите документ, если клиент специально чего-то не просит затачить?
Я лично не оттачу документы вообще, хотя у нас есть готовое портфолио там и так далее, которое это. Я стараюсь давать просто ссылку или на релевантную работу, или ссылку на портфолио на сайте, и все. Я вообще никогда не оттачила портфолио, и у меня очень хорошая конверсия. У меня конверсия около 25-30% ответов. Поэтому я думаю, что, поскольку, и может быть для кого-то это плохая, но я думаю, что это не важно.
Я просто дополню. Я, допустим, дизайнер, у меня бывает, что в портфолио у меня одни вещи, а клиент просит что-то конкретное. То есть то, что я не положил по каким-то своим личным причинам в портфолио. И в таких случаях я оттачу, и тогда это помогает. То есть когда я показываю, что я могу решить конкретно его проблему.
И, по-моему, где-то на Upwork тоже писали, что в большинстве случаев, там по какой-то статистике, не открываются эти документы. Да?
У нас больше молодому человеку, наверное, представителю По поводу вывода денег на Украине, то есть проблема с тем, что по каким-то непонятным причинам аккаунт, например, заблокирован, PayPal в Украине как-то работает по одну сторону, а оплата недоступен. Вывод через банк 30 баксов за одну транзакцию, дороговато. Как что вы посоветуете?
Выводите через банк. Скрин сейчас не работает. Выводите через банк. Я не вижу в этом проблемы.
Андрей, давай я буду, у меня будет рассказывать.
Кстати, вот на эту тему через один спикер будет об этом рассказывать. Дорогие друзья, спасибо вам за то, что слушали наших спикеров. Спасибо Тамаре, спасибо спонсору. Thank you very much.
No problem.